Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of the Ohio Guys here. I'm Christian Ocampo, and today I'm joined by newer voice actress in the scene. We have Lipica Shah. How you doing,
Hello.
Lipica?
How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, we're excited to have you for your very first interview.
Yeah.
So we have some questions we'd like to ask you. First of all, what is it like working in the industry today?
Yeah. I feel very lucky because I'm able to split my time between the voiceover industry and theater world. My specialty is new plays, so I I think in both worlds I have the privilege of being able to craft character from the ground up. Um, it's been interesting since you mentioned, and I will emphasize that I'm much newer to the voiceover industry than I am to the theater world. But I've been learning a lot. I've been learning that so much of what I do in theater is applicable in voice acting as well, because you're still I'm watching. I have to still watch a performance and listen to a performance and then translate that to my own version of this character, to bring that person to life. So I'm having a great time in the industry. I feel very lucky to be a part of it.
Yeah, it's great to have different people into it like we mentioned earlier uh you being a descendant from you know second generation from family from India. You get to be part of this industry that that's slowly getting more diverse.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We were just discussing that. I feel like I mean, in the theater world as well. I think I graduated college and sort of started in the world at a time when everything was getting a little more diversified, or I don't even know if diversity is the right word. Like if people were being more inclusive in their casting and in their in the search, you know. So I feel grateful, and I'm really glad that the industry is moving in a direction where not just on camera, but voices can actually reflect the diversity of our actual world. I think it's really important, and that kind of representation it does matter, to see and hear people that reflect reality.
Oh, definitely. And yeah, you're definitely in the right path.
I'm trying.
All right. Well, since your time in this industry, since back almost like 3 or 4 years ago when you started, what are some of your projects you have worked on?
So technically, I graduated from college in 2008 and primarily worked on camera for the first couple years before transitioning back into theater. Um, and I I got my start in the voiceover world through Pokemon, actually. I had done a lot of short animated films when I was in college with the filmmaking students at NYU. And one of those films is called Shark Suit the Musical. It was so much fun. Um, it was up for a student Emmy and played at all these festivals. And a buddy of mine, whom I did community theater with, like back in high school, is Bill Rogers. And
Oh,
he, as you know, he worked on Pokemon for many, 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 many years and is now super successful and slaying the voice world out in LA. But he happened to be at this festival where this film was screening, and he was like, "Wait, I know her." So he called me and he was like, "Is this something you do now?" And I was like, I mean, I don't know. Sure. And he was like, "Would you like to?" And I was like, I mean, I just graduated college. Yes, I say yes to everything. So he got me an audition for Pokemon, and that's sort of where this all started. Yeah, and since then, I've worked with Duart and 3Beep and NYAV mostly in New York on things from Pokemon and Regal Academy to the Gundam world, Mobile Suit Gundam The Origin, and very recently into some dubs of films like A Silent Voice and Nakia. and Miss Hokusai. So yeah, I'm really hoping that there will be more because this is quite fun.
Oh, definitely. And you know, you never know who you might grow up with, especially Bill Rogers. Like he's good people to be around with, and
He's
I'm
a human. Hi, Bill.
hello, Bill. Hope you're watching this.
Yeah, we can tweet at him.
All right, and since you already mentioned Mobile Suit Gundam Origins,
Hmm?
why don't you tell us about working that? Also, you had your own Origins there too. I found it.
Yeah, my own origin. I have to be 1,000% honest that I didn't know much about the Gundam world. I knew about it, but then it was my first audition for NYAV, and I sort of delved into the world before the audition to get a feel for what it was, and I was like blown away by how incredible it is. And I fell into a rabbit hole for a long time. So it was my first audition for NYAV. And I had no idea what I was in for. I auditioned for 2 roles, and was completely shocked when I found out that I was cast as Lala Soon. And the actual recording process to this day remains one of the most intense experiences of my life because, like I said, I'm new, and it was like being thrown into the deep end of the pool without any swim training. I mean, I remember being in the studio and I had, 2 engineers that I'd never met before because I'd never worked with NYAV before, who were here in New York, and we were Skyped in with the director in Asia, and there were producers in LA, and I feel like probably one other person, but I just remember being in the booth and like I could hear like all of these people, hear and see all these people that were giving me direction, very specific direction, and it was such a great challenge as an actor to be like, okay, like be present, be aware, and adjust on the fly because it's just you. There's no other cast. And you only have your lines, so you watch a little bit of the original, and you hear the original version, and then you have to take cues from the animation and the tone of voice, and try something. And then I would get like 4 pieces of direction on like, can you make that sigh a little more breathy? Or a little shorter, and I was like, we're spending 5 minutes on a sigh. Whoa, I know so little. It was a crash course. I'm very grateful for it. I feel like that was a masterclass in voice acting, just being in that room and having to respond and listen to all of that. But we got through it, and I think it's pretty great. I'm pretty excited by how it came out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it definitely got to be on Toonami, so that's a major
recently. Y'all can watch it now. Yeah, which is super cool because this is my Toonami debut, so that's also very exciting. Yeah. I think it was also really cool to be playing a South Asian character, because as we were talking about, there aren't very many South Asians in this industry, and to be a South Asian woman playing a South Asian character is even more rare. So that was pretty special. Yeah.
All right, and another question. One of my favorite films that came out a while ago was like working on Makia when the promised flower blooms. That's such a mouthful.
Yeah, it's a mouthful. It's a beautiful film, isn't it?
It is.
It's really funny. Kevin told me later, after we finished recording Plague Race Scene, Kevin told me later that my audition, I like had hastily recorded an audition into my phone because I couldn't get into the studio. So I just like sent in a recording, and I unlike Lala, my natural voice is really quite low, and I have a much lower range than I do a higher range. So I don't even know how I got the Lala voice, but that was a challenge to pitch up in a realistic way and play much younger. my audition scene included the scene where Racine approaches Makia, who's crying, and I think she actually asks like, why are you crying? In this like sort of curious, not entirely empathetic way. And he said those were the first words on my phone recording, and he was like, that's it. So something about this life let me do that. But yeah, similar. I think getting to I worked with Kevin primarily on that recording. It was interesting to try and tap into. I don't even know how to say it. It's like she has so much heart, but she also is really realistic. And to play this, I've voiced a lot of moms in my very limited time, but to play a sort of maternal figure who is who's really strong and so protective of her family and clan, and yet is also very pragmatic and realistic. I find that more frequently in the theater world than I do in the voiceover world, so it was really nice to get to blend those worlds a bit. And the film is just so beautiful.
Definitely, it's just a great story, and it's so sad with like different chapters of the characters' lives.
Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot. I find sometimes the anime world is this like escape. It's so fantastical, but I feel like almost everything I've worked on, there's so much ties to like our real world. Mm-hmm. You know how there's always there's so much othering and I don't know how to say it, like the need to oppress and control like is so rampant in our world, and is explored so beautifully in this supposed like fantastical escape from reality. But yeah, I think that's what makes it such a good film, is that it's so tough. It's universal.
It's just so heart wrenching. It's just like, I know many people have seen it have cried because of this film.
Yeah, it's really yeah. I felt that way about A Silent Voice too. I was really, really impressed that they found a deaf actress to voice the main character in A Silent Voice, because that just is another small example of how representation A, make a difference, and B, can raise awareness of a community and give I don't even know what the word is. I didn't see very many South Asian actors on TV and film on stage when I was growing up, and now there are more. But it feels really cool to be part of showcasing our world and showing other kids that, like, you know, your stories matter too, your voices matter too. And so many of the movies and series that I've gotten to work on, I think they do the same in the stories that they're telling.
Right, definitely. And, you know, with the whole sad aspect, you know, you already mentioned A Silent Voice. You know, you got to work on that one as well. And it almost, you know, it was nominated for an Oscar, you know, back last year. When we just get back into more of that sadness, the whole heart wrenching just topics that, you know, that just shed light to like how extreme humans can be with certain emotions, and how we as humans, how we portray them.
Say that last part one more time.
How you know, just about A Silent Voice, like how we portray, you know, those emotions like in a film like this.
Yeah, I think that I think that it is beautiful when an animated film can be so complex like that. It almost feels like you're not watching something animated. I was a very small part of A Silent Voice, but it was so wonderful to be a part of a story that tackled so many heavy topics that, like, I feel like so many people in our country, they don't associate animated films with tackling that kind of subject matter.
Mm-hmm.
But bullying and depression and grief and
Suicide.
yeah, so many, like, how wonderful to actually tackle those head on. Because the more we talk about those issues, the more they lose their stigma. And isn't, like, I feel like the stigma surrounding disability and mental illness is such a tragedy of our time. And the idea that you could just be bullied for who you are, I know is universal and has been around for forever, but how great that it's being tackled so directly in the film, and that the film did so well. I think that the fact that it was shortlisted for an Oscar just says something about what people want to see and the stories that we should be telling more of. I don't know where I was going with that, but yeah. That there's a desire to hear these stories, and that we should be, if we're not telling truth in our entertainment, like, why?
Yeah.
Why else would we? Yeah.
I think it's just amazing. Like, you got to play the mother, of the deaf girl, and like how she has to, like, carry these emotions, like how much she wants to let loose, onto the world, like to the point where she does, get into like physical altercations with people that do wrong, to her daughter, and that's a powerful impact. Just seeing that, in front of you.
Yeah, I think that there was a lot of. And I give Stephanie a lot of credit, too, because she directed, like, I'm still learning how my theater training, how it influences my vocal training, and things in theater that are very physical, that are showcased physically to the back of the house, translating that and putting that all into your voice, into your breath, can be challenging. And I give so much credit to Stephanie for pushing me to get the performance that we did, where I think that, there are many moments where you can tell that she's just holding on to everything, and only when it goes alone does she let loose, very, like, that one, just once, and then in the physical altercation you can see, like, the immediate the aftermath of it too is interesting to tap into, and how I needed like a little break after we did those scenes. I was like, okay, let's walk around, let's get rid of that, and let's do something else. Let's do another scene now. Yeah.
All right. So another project you also mentioned earlier. What was it like working on Regal Academy?
Regal Academy was so fun. So Tom and I go way back to when I first started on Pokemon, and Regal Academy was my first time working with Prelay, which I'd never gotten to do before, because everything that 99% of the things I do in the voice world are already extant, and we're just translating them for a different audience. But Regal Academy Season 1, it was so fun. It was so freeing to just say some lines and then see the animation come back to match what we were saying. And then I don't remember if that was not the case in season 2, but it was really quite fun to be a part of watching the character come to life and grow. That was much more my reason I love theater. When you get to craft a character from the beginning, that was very true in Regal Academy, and it's so sweet and so charming and so silly, and again tackles a lot of issues that are rampant in today's world. We've got bullying, we've got feeling like an outcast, we've got loneliness, we've got so many different potentially traumatic experiences for just told this fun story. So yes, but once again I got to channel my sassy mom voice, because I feel like that's where I live mostly. Give me all the moms.
All right, so we have a funny question that we like to ask everyone. If you could be any character you have played in real life, who would you be, and you can mix and match?
Yeah, I saw that on your list. I mean, like, I would want to be different people at different times, right? Like, like I think it'd be super fun to have Claire Cinderella's magical powers every now and then, and then I think like Lala's sense of like how brave she is to just go on this adventure and leave the life that she knows is something that I just aspire to be, like to be courageous every day and make choices based on curiosity, one to see something more than what I know. I think that is really admirable. And then I just think that Racine is like so fierce, and I don't think I am necessarily that fierce in my everyday life, but I do feel very happy that I get to play a lot of pretty fierce characters in my theater and voiceover life. I also got to in Miss Hokusai, I got to voice this crazy spirit that was real scary and haunting and surprising, and I think sometimes in life, like when people make me mad, it would be nice to be able to just be like, no, crazy evil spirit. Not, yeah. That's, I don't know, I feel like all of these characters, voice-wise, come from me and are connected to me in some way. I don't know. Just for fun, I played this character in a video game that I honestly could not even tell you the name of, but she has revolvers for hands and is like super badass, and that'd be really fun to be for like a day.
All right. So, is there anything else coming out that you can talk about, or anything you want to plug in at this time?
Yeah, well, voiceover-wise, I mean, please, y'all, watch Gundam on Toonami. I think that I'm pretty sure, yeah, it's definitely already started airing, which is super exciting, and I think Lala has a few moments there. Pokemon Season 22 is also airing right now on Disney XD, and you'll just have to listen to see who I am there. And if you're in the Bay Area, I'm about to open a play here at California Shakespeare Theater. It's a brand new world premiere play called House of Joy that honestly feels like a graphic novel in we're calling it a swashbuckling action adventure romance, and it's so much fun. As we were discussing before, there are swords, there are staffs, there is a dungeon battle, there's a sewer battle, there's a lot of politics and intrigue and mystery, and it's primarily women who are doing all of this badassery. So that's quite exciting. So if you're in the Bay Area, please come check us out. Yeah, and I think that's all I'm allowed to talk about right now.
Okay, that sounds fine.
But please, keep in touch on social media and check out my website, and I will definitely be posting when I can talk about things.
Okay. Speaking of social media, any Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, any last sort of social medias for the fans to contact you at?
Yes. So I'm on Facebook, Lipica Shah. I have a page on Facebook. I'm on the Twitter, also at Lipica Shah. I'm too old for Instagram. But I have a website, which is lipicashah.com, and all three of those places I post certain things. I have on my website, you can sign up for my newsletter, which I send out every couple months, just when I have something interesting to say. And my newsletter is the first place to find out about like discounts to shows, if I'm going to be making any TV appearances, or any sneak peeks behind the scenes of whatever it happens to be that I'm working on. Yeah, so there's all that. I try to be pretty responsive on social media, but if I'm like I'm about to go into Tech Week, so this next week I'm just going to be a zombie.
All right. Well, thank you, Lipica, for joining us for this interview. We guys, we really appreciate it.
Thank you, and thank you for having me. I'm excited to see what I just said.
We'll post it, as soon as we can. And thank you to our viewers who tuning in for this episode of the Ohio Guys. Thank you all. We will see you all next time. Bye, everyone.